Welcome back to Real Estate Radio San Antonio with Carla and Stan, and we're here with our special guest today, Greg Drott with Allstate Insurance. And we were talking about, just before we went to break, about liabilities on the golf course. Greg and I are both very golf advocates and weekend players, and whenever we can get out besides that, we really enjoy the game. I think Carla enjoys sending me out there so she can have her girl time on Saturdays so often. But Greg, I have a question. We live out at a golf course at Sonterra, and so many of us have golf carts. Tell me a little bit, do we insure those, or are those to be insured? I mean, there's golf carts on ranches, there's golf carts on golf courses, there's, all over. Seems a lot of people are buying those golf carts now. Are those insurable, or are they supposed to be insured? What's the liability and what's handled in that?
Yeah, because I do want to say we have almost crashed a couple of times head on with another cart or car or something. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. Well, it's important to remember that homeowners insurance is designed to protect the home and what's generally considered to be part of the home or related to the home. So in most homeowners policy, motorized vehicles are specifically excluded. In other words, they're not covered unless they're used exclusively to service that property. Things like a riding lawnmower, motorized vehicle, but it's used strictly on the property. Those are the type things that are going to be covered under it. When you start talking about four-wheelers, ATVs, golf carts, those are all things that if you're going to have that away from the house, you need to look at making sure that you've got the proper coverage on it, because those would be insured just like a car or a motorcycle. You're going to have the same protection that you would have under an auto policy or a motorcycle policy you're going to have for an ATV or an RV or a golf cart. And it's really amazing when people find out how inexpensive it is to insure those vehicles. It's really a no-brainer to make sure that you get the coverage on there, because some of those things can get very expensive.
I never really thought about putting insurance on the golf cart, but I think we will now.
Yeah, the way, I don't know, one of us drives very cautiously.
Yeah.
Or how about that other person in the golf cart that doesn't have insurance and is instead of running into the rock, they run into you and cause you some serious injury too. So that coverage is available out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember it wasn't too long ago, one of our neighbors fell off and broke his shoulder or something.
My wife has also at one time claimed I threw her out of the cart, but as I remind her, you have to sit back in the seat and make sure you're holding on when you go around curves. But it's very easy for somebody to get hurt or for accidents to happen.
Yeah.
Careful on these stories, because you never know when she'll be bringing this back up again and replaying this program.
Absolutely.
So, really good. Thanks, Greg.
Okay, so everybody needs insurance on their golf cart.
Yeah, I think we need to get together and talk about a little more about this, Greg.
Okay, let's move on we're going to talk about.
Move on? What are you saying? That was trivia stuff or what?
No, it's important, but okay, I think we got the point. We need insurance on the golf cart.
Okay, stick to real estate. Huh?
Yeah. Okay, so many times homeowners tend to look at the cost of their policy, but to only look at the price could have costly consequences. So tell us about that.
When shopping for an insurance policy, the most important thing to look for is value. Okay, cheap is not going to be good when it comes to buying insurance. You want value, and value is making sure that you're buying a policy from a company that has the financial strength to be there when you need it. Because again, remember, we all pay for this policy year after year after year, and if that company's not there anymore when you really do need it, or when a hurricane rolls through Texas and companies go bankrupt, that's not going to do you much good by having the cheapest insurance out there. My entire insurance career has been here in Texas, and I've seen the insurance companies come and go. You're buying protection for something for when something bad does happen. So your insurance needs to be around for that. So you need to make sure that you're buying the coverage that you need, and making sure that you're getting the value that you want on that.
Well, so many people. I mean, it's like you go on the internet now and you shop for, give me the 10 lowest quotes. And so you get the 10 lowest quotes, and people say, hey, I found it here for, X amount of dollars. And so that's what you're saying. It's just be sure and read that, because it may be the bare minimum, but sometimes you get exactly what you pay for, the old rule.
And again, like we saw when the financial markets crashed, how many of those insurance companies weren't around the next day?
Right.
How about when we had all those Katrinas and all those storms and people, and there was no money left with some of those companies?
That's right, and then that's when you have to look for the state. The state does have a insurance pool to pick up where those folks leave, but sometimes it's pennies on the dollar. So you
Right.
got to make sure that you do have the
Right.
proper coverage with a company that's going to be there when you need them.
Good point. Good point. So, I mean, typically when we get our homeowners insurance, like you say, if you've lived in your home 7 years and we've lived in our home 3 years, we don't think about our policy. We got it and that's all we know. But I mean, should we look at our policy occasionally? Do we need to reassess it?
Absolutely. I recommend at least annually. In fact, that's one of the things that we do in our agency is when a policy's coming up for renewal, about 45 days before the policy comes up for renewal, we're making a call to our customers and saying, it's time for us to sit down and go over that coverage because we all know how fast things can change in life, and you need to make sure that your insurance keeps up with those changes. If something changes or you purchase something big, call your agent.
Interesting. And what about tell us about the vehicles and homeowners insurance. I mean, I know we talked about discounts already, but same thing with vehicles and your car insurance?
Absolutely, tons of discounts out there, and that's why it's important to sit down. The best thing that you can do is the biggest discounts are when you're going to be bundling those policies. It's good to have one agent, one insurance company insuring all of that. That way you know that you have a trusted advisor that's looking at the big picture, looking at your situations. Now you may be able to save a little bit by farming it all out, but in the long run, I can tell you it really doesn't work that way.
No, I would think it would be a headache. But if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Real Estate Radio San Antonio, and that's realestateradio.sa.com. Please visit us on our Facebook and realestateradio.sa.com and send us your suggestions for their show. And we're talking with Greg Drott from Allstate Insurance.
Hey, Greg, that's a big thing you just said, and it just kind of started the cogwheels in my brain moving here. Is you said a trusted advice. And I just started thinking there's so much on the internet where we Google so much, we really can't sit down, look somebody in the eye and say, what do I truly need? And, I think that's very important, for someone to have that face-to-face business like what you provide with your agency, what both you and Tracy do and your entire teams, as far as providing that for people. This is to sit down and talk. And if you haven't met or looked up Greg and his team and his wife Tracy and the Allstate group that they run, I would trust Greg. I've known him for several years now, and he's just, it's what I call his character is that of a very high standard, and that's what you want, somebody that's handling stuff like that in your day-to-day life and can sit down and talk to you about that. And I think that's so important as we talk about re-evaluating the insurance here, because I don't think I've looked at my policy since I've bought my house. I hate to say, but maybe I need to. I've known you, and we've talked about doing business, and we haven't done business because it's quite honestly the same thing we're talking about here. Just time goes by, and then we see each other and say, hey, we need to talk, and then how many times have we said that, and we don't, and it's and it's kind of as I think about this, and we're holding on the short, and I kind of think shame on me that I haven't sat down with you and gone over this stuff, and so we encourage everyone to, to sit down with if not with Greg and Tracy, with their insurance agent and somebody that's trusted that you can actually talk with them about. So I kind of butted in there.
No, I think that's
I didn't cut that off, Carla, but it
good.
just made me think that really it's something even with us that we haven't done.
Well, that's what Real Estate Radio is all about, is getting the trusted advice, the expert in their field. And we only would have trusted people on our show.
Yes. Yeah.
So we thank Greg for being here.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Is there any last thing that you want to say? Any good stories? Anything that you want to share with our listeners?
No, I'd just like to invite them to just give us a call. I've got a great team of, I've got 9 licensed professionals, agents that also work for me. But give us a call. I've always tell people that, you know what, I'm not a salesman, okay? I'm an insurance agent. I'm a trusted advisor. I'm there to help you figure out what you need and what you want, and if you're getting a good deal somewhere else, I'm going to be the first one to tell you. But on the other hand, if you don't have the coverage that you want or you need, you're going to be glad to have given me a call.
We were preparing for this to talk with you, Donna, our producer of our show here. She was doing a little bit of research for us, and she brought up something that was really kind of amazing. And you can comment on this a little bit, but I think it's pretty interesting that the number 3 most expensive claim in Texas is a dog bite.
We have so much land, and Texans are proud of their animals.
Yeah.
And, you look around and almost everybody has a dog. And you have to remember, dogs at one time were wild animals. And it's in their nature that if you tug on their tail or you touch them in a way they don't like, they're going to let you know. And their only way of letting you know is to snap at you. And it does happen. So, yes, it is. And that's where it comes down to being a responsible homeowner and making sure that if you do have a dog that is a little finicky and likes to snap, that you lock them up when people come over too, because you don't want to put people at risk on that.
All right.
That's right.
Well, with that, we've had a great show, and
So, yes, and we want to thank Greg again, thank Greg Drott, Allstate Insurance, for sharing his time with us on our show.
real quick, Greg, where can they reach you at?
You can visit us, whether you want to walk in, call in, or click in. You can give us a call at 210-341-3258, toll free 855-463-8831, or visit our website, drottinsurance.com.
Well, you're listening to Real Estate Radio San Antonio. Be back next week. We'll be here Sunday at 3 o'clock in KLUP Talk Radio. See you next week.